and build Mama Liberia for good. Truth-telling is the bedrock of good journalism. Straight from the heart on Sky 107.1 is that platform you can rely on for credible, undiluted, and unbiased analysis. It is thought-provoking. It speaks nothing but the truth to whoever is involved. Our presenters remain impartial and are only interested in truth-telling. The program comes your way Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 o'clock in the morning. Let's speak from our hearts, heal our wounds, and build Mama Liberia for good.
Wake up, Mama Liberia. Liberia, wake up, Mama Liberia. Wake up, Mama Liberia. Liberia, oh Liberia, oh Liberia, wake up. Liberia, oh Liberia, oh Liberia, oh Liberia, wake up and pray. Oh, Liberia, wake up, oh, wake up and do something. Oh, Liberia, try to settle things the way we need to be. Maybe it's all we need in our love and control. Mama, Liberia. Wake up, my people, can't you hear the song? Can't you see the shining sun? You've been sleeping so long. No time for guns, no time to do wrong. Say the war is gone. My people be strong.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and a pleasant welcome to a very interesting edition of the program. Straight from the heart on Sky 107.1. Today is the 12th day of July 2021. My name is Matthias Labindi. Welcoming you on this edition of the program this Monday morning. Our prime guest this morning from 8 to 9 o'clock is the President Emeritus or Chairman Emeritus of the Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas, Mr. Moses Sandi. Mr. Moses Sandi joins us this morning on the program from 8 to 9 o'clock to share with us his thoughts on his personal thoughts on variety of issues. Someone who had a professional media group in the Americas there. Right now, the person who's president of that group is Joe Macy. So Mr. Sandi joins us this morning from 8 to 9 o'clock to talk about a variety of issues concerning Liberia. But before that, we have a number of things to highlight. Like always, we have a number of interesting things to talk about this morning. My name is Matthias. I'll be right back after this break.
Try to settle things the way we need to be. Maybe it's all we need in our love and control. Mama, Liberia. Wake up, my people. No time to do wrong. Say the war is gone. Try to settle things the way we need to. Our love and control. Mama, Liberia. Wokama, wena moto mwaka. Wokama, muna moto mwaka. Ufanu, unyamano. Wokama, Salune, Liberia, Abore, Guinea. Wokama. Basama, Wokama, Loma, Guillaume, Wokama, De, Va, Wokama, Mandingo, Bola,
That's right. You're listening to Straight from the Heart on Sky 107.1. My name is Matthias, and you're here again today. You are there watching, following the live feed, as well as listening towards the other radio. We also want to appreciate you for taking off time to join us this morning on the program. on a program Straight from the Heart. My name is Matthias, and this morning our guest is Mr. Moses Sandi. Moses Sandi is the former president or chairman or president emeritus of the Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas, ALJA. So ALJA claimed that it has won something, or better still, is won an advocacy, and a number of things have happened. You know, people have said some things and so on. So ALJA says, well, congratulations to ALJA. Number of things have happened. ALJA takes credit for that, just like other institutions, other advocacy institutions, the civil society organizations in Liberia, their position on, Prince Johnson and a variety of issues. The fact that Prince Johnson has resigned his position to ALJA is a plus, to the Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas, is a plus for them. So we want to speak with the former chairman, the chairman emeritus. He's going to be sharing with us a lot more on some issues. But before then, we have a number of things to highlight here this morning. I don't know about you, but every time issues come up, first of all, I want to find our folks. Well, Julius's birthday celebration has been carrying on so crazy over the weekend, and we've been going through a lot. So those of us who were part of the celebration, waking up, in fact, even Monday to get to work, it's not been easy for us, but yet that's what we have signed up for. So we have to do it. So yes, Julius's birthday is over. I know it's someone's birthday today, another person's birthday is tomorrow, and so on. And that's how it is. As people are mourning other places, that's the same way other people, are waking up as well and they're celebrating. So good morning to you. It's Monday. I don't know how you see Monday, but some people don't like Mondays. I do. I love Monday because it's a day that starts my hustle. It's a day that gives me that understanding whether I am going to, do better during the course of the week or not. My first encounter doing on Monday, most of the time, informs me of Matthias moving forward. From what you see now, what do you think is going to be the outcome of your week is going to be like? So I know that the week is going to be great. Most of the time when we start the week in a way that, that pleases us, most especially we do the things that we love to invest. So without further waste of time, we already late. We want to apologize to you for coming on late this morning. I just quickly want to go on to the point, to the issue. So let's go to Nimba County and come back to Monrovia and focus on some of the issues here. In Nimba County, a lawmaker there in district number 8 representative, Larry P. Yankwe. Larry Yankwe says that Prince Johnson should not take credit that, he should not take credit for his vaccination because he did not resign from that position based on the fact that he wanted to. He did so because, people raise concerns. People demanded him to. So it's very important for him to resign. If he must resign, he should resign his senatorial position. He should resign from the entire Senate and just wait to ensure that he gets he faces his day in court. He faces trial in the country. But to say that this man, his vaccination is basically about the fact that he wanted to and save the image, because you remember he couldn't go for the ECOWAS. He couldn't go participate fully being part of the ECOWAS delegation from Liberia, because according to him, he said he wanted to focus more on his political, game, as well as the re-election of the president. That's why he backed up from the ECOWAS delegation, and Representative Senator Snow is now representing Liberia on that delegation. Prince Johnson could not, because he said he wanted to fight to the re-election of Georgia and all of that, and a number of things, right? His election in the election process in Nimba County that just ended, 2019, 2021, or 2020. But now this lawmaker is saying, no, Prince Johnson should not stop there. He should go beyond just resigning, from the position of chair on the executive, not the executive, but military, security, and defense at the Liberian Senate, and resign as senator of Nimba County. Do you think he's ever going to think about that? I don't think so. But that's what Representative Larry Yonkwa is saying. Representative Yonkwa is saying the president, Mr. Prince Johnson, should resign from that position. He should resign as senator of Nema County if truly he's a man with remorse, and he expresses remorse for whatever thing that happened. Let's move on to another development. I don't think Prince Johnson will ever consider such a recommendation from his kinsman. And maybe he may just see it as somebody being completely hypocritical, against him. So let's move on to another development. A number of things happen every day in our country, right? And we tend to quickly forget about, some things. Most especially when we look at the fact that, well, this person is a public official, that other person is this and that and that and that and so on. So if you were to look at all these basic things, somebody did something yesterday, John Brown acted this way yesterday, and nobody asked question, the other person did this. Well, that's not the argument. That's not the foundation on which we should build this country. I think we should do better in ensuring that we make everyone accountable for what they do, to the country of Liberia. So what do I mean? Talking about that, the country of Liberia is involved with a lot of, news of dishonesty, news of people, just living, lavishly and all of that. So corruption and so on. But there's the news right now that's circulating on social media. I have a different view about it. I see it differently. All right. I see it differently because the way in which folks are running with it, I don't think that should be the question. That is the question, or that's the statement we should be making. That's the reason why I want to sit here and term the statement coming from the youth wing of the CDC as just a noise. That was a noise-making statement that the youth wing of the CDC released, questioning two individuals, two sons of this country, of what they consider as sheer arrogance, a display of arrogance, a display of opulence, display of wealth, and so on. So we are in a nation that because this other person does not have, the other person who has it should not live freely because the other one doesn't have, which is really, really unfortunate. And I don't think that's how we should go about, living in this country. Let me go strictly to the point I'm trying to make. The youth wing of the CDC condemned two officials of the government for displaying, what they consider as wealth and living opulently, showcasing opulence amidst difficulties in the country where people are going through a lot of things in Liberia. But I think it's quite unfortunate. And that's why I said it's just a noise-making statement from the CDC youth wing. It's unfortunate that you guys are young people. And the young guy who read his statement, he's a fine gentleman. I respect him. He's a very good writer, Hassan Newland, and so. But I'm terming the entire youth wing of the CDC. Their statement is a noise-making statement that lacks substance on real advocacy issues. If you people want to advocate for the masses in this country, ask the hard questions. If you have the balls, if you guys are real intellectuals that you want to push the objective of this country, you want to project Liberia, you want to advocate for Liberia, you want to advocate for the masses. Be real. Do not go attacking certain individuals, because the whole thing about some of the advocacy groups within the CDC, in fact, there are some young people who raise issues against public officials. They don't have the audacity to question other people. They go after some people. Let's begin with Emmanuel Porter, for example. Yeah. All right. Emmanuel Porter has a video of himself. He did, right? It's a live Facebook thing. He did on social media. I've watched that video like 3-4 times. What is something wrong with it? Yes, there is something wrong with it. But is it major? No, it is not major. Is it worth discussing? It is worth discussing now because people have given it prominence. I would have seen that in pass by. First of all, the video I watched is a video of a man who purchased a car for his wife, which is a gentleman thing to do. A man bought a car for his wife. Who is this guy? He's an assistant minister. How much does he make? He makes more than $2,000, or maybe around $2,500 US. All right. Who is his wife? His wife also works. I don't want to mention where she works. That's a family issue. But this woman works, right? She's a marketer. I'm told she makes more than $1,000 a month. So this family is very, very much concerned about the fact that, well, let us look at few things. Let us look at the fact that, well, we as a family, can we set up a budget? It happens in some homes. For example, sometimes I want to surprise maybe my fiance. I say, babe, listen, I don't have the money, but if you have the money, let's put it together. I want us to buy this thing. In the end, it's going to be turned over to her. You know, that particular thing is going to be turned over to her. But unfortunately, if that is turned over to her, and then someone sees that the Womataya just waste money, you don't know. Maybe that lady contributed even 50% or 75% of that thing we bought that you see in the home. So this guy's an assistant minister. Emmanuel, I've not met him in person. I don't know him personally. There's not any devil's advocate. Well, it may seem as devil's advocacy, but it's just being objective, right? This is how it works. He makes $2,000+ He bought a car for his wife on his birthday. That is a gentleman behavior, and I respect that. Waking up this morning, I say, listen, I'm going to do everything I can, put my energy in this particular thing, and just highlight it because I respect the fellow. All right? This guy bought a car. Now, I did a research, reached out to Emmanuel, contacted him on the phone, and spoke on this thing on my show. He said, no, I don't want to dignify it. Or, give me information about your car. This car, in fact, was on auction. Is it IAA is what? Is that International American Auction? Something like that. Yeah. So I checked directly. Give me the car information. He sent the car information. So for those of you who don't know, this is basically about research. So I reached out, got the information, the basic information I needed. Then I thought to do further research. This car in question it was on auction. Is a 2017 Audi Q7 3.6 Quattro Premium SUV. And it was on auction in 2020. It's a 2007 model Audi SUV. And the stock number, now it was on a list. So you see number 1, this car is on number 1, number 2. This particular car was on number 22. I'm looking at it here. I'm reading through it. It was on number 22. The stock number, if you want to get it, maybe you want to verify. Like I said, the particular car that the minister bought for his wife, right, that people are parading with right now on social media, is a 2007 Audi Q7 3.6 Quattro Premium, number 22. Because if you line them up, you line the cars on auction, this is number 1, number 2, number 2, it was on number 22. The stock number is 27462557. And this car, according to Mr. Porter, this car cost him $5,000. If you check on the auction, on the American auction, you see some very good cars. Some of them are fairly used. Some are, partly damaged, accident vehicles. You see that some are cost for $2,000. Some cars are even cost even $1,900. Maybe if you get through all the process of, shipping the car to Liberia, it's going to cost you $5,000. This guy bought an Audi 2007 model Audi SUV Q7 Quattro Premium for his wife on auction. And this car was on sale in 2020. I just read you the stock number of the vehicle in question, and I've given you the price, the vehicle's number. It was on stock. So like I said, if you line up things and you name the number 1, it was on number 22. Verify that. It's a 2007 Audi Q7 SUV model Quattro 3.6 Quattro Premium. Whether it's a luxury car, but it was on auction. This guy works. So what is wrong with someone buying a vehicle for their wife? He did not buy it for one not seamstress. He did not buy it for one mistress, right? He bought this car for his wife. He unveiled this vehicle in his compound. Surprised his wife. She woke up in the morning to this car, to this surprise. I challenge and all of you men out there this morning, you gentlemen, tell me that this is a bad thing, that this is a terrible thing to do, it's a wrong thing to do. Now, some of the guys are racing this thing. I know a few men, right? I don't want to mention their names. One famous guy in this country, right, who raised this thing. This guy suffered divorce, right? He just got divorced. There are many things that we men and even women can do to ensure that relationships are kept. And I checked in 2019, Mr. Porter did not buy a car for his wife. I want you to check on Emmanuel Porter's speech. Emmanuel Porter did not buy a car for his wife, but you know what he did in 2019? This guy did live Facebook. He sang for his wife. Some kind of music was playing. He sang along with it. So this is probably in his, DNA, that every time it's a special day in my family members' life, more especially my children and my wife, I surprise them. He went on to respond to Mr. Henry Costa that, listen, my wife is expecting XYZ worth of a house. Now, he didn't mention worth, but it's starting 2-bedroom apartment. And so, or 10-bedroom apartment, something like that. He told Henry Costa, who came after him personally, that I'm also surprising her. It's her birthday. This is the man's wife. He works. He earns over a $2,000 US. His wife earns over $1,000 US. Even if the family were to keep at least $1,000 every month, just $500 every month, do you think within a year time, the family is unable to raise money to buy that vehicle for, that guy is unable to raise that money to buy that vehicle for his wife? So what is the issue with the CDC folks? The dishonesty in your press statement, that's why I term it as a noise making. It was just meant to make noise in the town and just find yourself in the news. It's because you guys are dishonest. You had a president who you say he worth $84 million. That money in our Liberian setting, and maybe through our Nigerian friends who would say it was just basically audio money. It was just audio, we're just hearing it in sound. President, we are worth $84 million. We did not see that money making impact in Grand Crew, putting street lights in Grand Crew. Even though there are football players that were building multi-million-dollar hospitals around the world for their countries. Georgia, $84 million did not impact the poor Grand Crew. He did precedent before today. You guys are celebrating street lights in Grand Crew County. Georgia was worth $84 million, as you people claimed yesterday. He did not, he was worth $84 million then, as you people claimed yesterday. He did not build condominiums. Today, he has condominiums. The youth wing of the CDC, my fellow young people, have you guys mustered the courage to question the president, how he acquired the properties? You don't have the balls. You can't do that. You see him as the most powerful person. But according to party mandate, that guy is not the most powerful person. The president is not the most powerful person in the CDC. The most powerful person in the CDC is the chairman of the party, Chairman Moba Molu. Even him, you cannot question him. This guy wears almost his entire body so gold. The chairman, Moba Molu. Prior to the CDC coming to office, he could not afford to buy himself the kind of car he's driving now. Have you people questioned Mr. Moba Molu? Why he's driving a luxurious car? Why you guys suffer at the party headquarters? Have you people questioned him? You don't. You can't question him. So the whole thing about advocacy in this country is about, let's find one person that does not have the energy, that is not strong enough. Let's attack the person. When we put our energies behind that person, we can be sure of that person maybe facing our weight. All right? So I'm just saying to the folks there in the CDC that this whole press statement you people released, it was just basically meant to just make noise in the town. It was just a noise-making statement. It has no substance. You have no basics for questioning Mr. Emmanuel Porter for buying a car for his wife. You can question President Weah for building condominiums. Have you guys discovered? Now, over the weekend, I was on Nash Street at my previous office on Capitol at Capitol FM. So a colleague of mine there said, Matthias, I just visited I just went down the beach. I was standing by the president's house and I was just looking at it. A security guy walked up to me and said I should walk away. I said, why? He said, I should not look at the president's house. Really? The president's house on Nash Street? There's a restriction that people cannot just stand there this time around and just look? Why should that be the case? You people have not questioned the president. Why is it that? In the first place, this man insulted your intelligence. You said nothing. The president said to you people that, listen, I cannot make my asset public because if I do, I got my family members to protect. I have my children and everybody to protect. That was an insult to your intelligence, you the young people. You made the man president. The man said he cannot tell you what he has in his account. That if you do, because he has a family to protect. Deductively, he meant to say that if I declare my asset and make it public, you people will come after my children, you come after my wife, you come after my family. That was not an insult to your intelligence, but it's an insult to your intelligence because Emmanuel Porter bought a car worth $5,000 for his wife, and you are running with it. So, okay, now, this is what makes sense now. The real sense in this thing is that, has this guy been involved in corruption act before? That was then UBA. The president still saw that and appointed him as assistant minister. Yes, he was involved in corruption at the UBA. but he still got appointed as assistant minister. Say he's got appointed as assistant minister. Has he been involved in a corruption act, in a corrupt act before? So do you want to investigate his office to see whether he spent this money directly from his income or he stole something from the Ministry of State? He's the assistant minister for logistics now. Probably he's diverting some funds, he's diverting some things that are meant for the ministry for its personal use. Can you investigate him and know whether he's involved into any corrupt act at the Ministry of State? No. It was just a less basic statement. Let's move on to Minister, now the Director General of the Maritime Authority. All right, Mr. Eugene Nangbe. I want to read out a few things about Eugene Nangbe, in case some of you young people there in the CDC you don't know. Am I saying that these guys are saints? No, they are not. Eugene Nangbe served as, just few little things I just want to read about him, right? That you know. Minister at Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism. He's the man who just left that ministry before Minister Ledger Rennie got appointed in that position. So to serve as Minister of Information, he has earned, he has worked, and he deserves whatever he wants to do with his money, except something that borders around morality. For you people in the CDC, your questioning of Minister Porter and Director Eugene Nangbe is basically because you feel that you are entitled to the government. The government is entitled to you. You must get everything. You must benefit. You must get jobs. You must get money. You must get food. And the sad thing about politics in Africa, African politicians make their supporters to think that when they win, their whole existence, their entire existence will depend on them as politicians, which is a myth, which is a doctor reality that the politicians present to you. That Minister Porter should not buy a car for his wife are suffering. Because other people are suffering in the world, does it mean that rich people, those who have worked for their own monies, they should not live life? They should not break a smile because others are suffering? Even the time Jesus Christ had the Passover, the feast with his disciples, and they ate that bread, there was a breaking of bread and everything. There were people in that particular Jerusalem and other parts of the world. They were hungry, but Jesus still ate to a certain fashion. Why didn't he consider the fact that other people are hungry, so we should not eat? They had a very good time together. Now you're complaining that Eugene Nangbe is eating expensive food. He's sitting in opulent restaurant. He's eating good food. Honestly, man, this man served as Minister of Information. That's one. Number two, this man served as Minister of Youth and Sports at the government of Liberia under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Amen. All right, let me go further. He's the former ADG, News and Public Affairs at Liberia Broadcasting System. He's the former Minister of Ministry of Transport, Republic of Liberia. This man is the former minister. He's the former Executive Vice President at Fidelity Ventures Holding, WUNA Corporation. Eugene Nangbe studied at University of Liberia. He studied mass communication at University of Liberia. He has qualification. He has earned something. The man took a bowl of rice. Probably, if you see that photo from the way it was taken, he's not the one that took it. Somebody took it. This guy was having his lunch, probably. And now a party, you've win, CDC. Have you guys become so less basic that you do a press statement because somebody ate expensive food? Because somebody bought car for their wives? So are you guys trying to tell me you don't have that emotional intelligence so much so that to please your wife when the time comes? Let me say something to you. You know what I want to do in life? If I earn money in this country, I want to pay $10 million for my fiance's dowry. So is it going to be what? Extravagant? Is it going to be a waste of resources? I want to spend $10 million for dowry payment. So this time it's no longer the $48, right? So we go. Some people paying $300, some people paying $500, some people paying, a guy just paid $3 million for a fiance's dowry payment. You can decide what you want to do with your money. Now, let me go back to the CDC folks. You're looking at that, well, we are supporters of the government. We are not living this kind of life. It's not going to be that way because you people talk politics wrongly. That because you supported an organization, it means you should go back home, fold your hands, put your hands between your legs and sit down and wait. The government will come and tip you. There are more young people who are begging people daily to survive, who call their friends every day. Let's compare notes. Them young people who are sitting and thinking about life from different angles and engaging life and challenging life in a way that they can fight it. This was just a personal attack against the individuals. Eugene Nangbe worked. He earned money. I have met you, some of you, youth wing members of the CDC. I have met you guys in expensive restaurants in this town, buying food and sitting with some. Maybe the next time I see you guys, have to take a photo and post it on social media too. I don't know some of you, the guys, the women I met you sitting with your girlfriend, your wives, and so on. But I have met you people, some of you, at expensive restaurants having lunch. They're paying not less than maybe $50 for the entire lunch. Did that make you opulent? Did that make you to get involved in opulent expenditure? You should be telling us, why is President Weah, why did he turn his Nash Street resident into a bulletproof? Is he afraid? Is it some form of insecurity? I challenge you to doubt that. The house on Nash Street is a bulletproof house in this town, in this country. As gullible as the society is, your president, the man you selected among all the people in the CDC. Again, I said, he is not the most powerful person in the CDC. You selected him, you chose him among many qualified people who could have served as head of the CDC ticket, but you chose George Weah. The most powerful person in the CDC is the chairman of the party. You cannot question George Weah. You cannot question him why he rides private jet. You cannot do a press release. But because there are some people within a party too that feel that some people should be dismissed, so you go after individuals personally. Emmanuel Potter bought a car for his wife. What's the crime? What is the issue? Did he corrupt the system? Eugene Nangbe ate expensive. He had lunch at an expensive restaurant. Hasn't this guy worked enough to eat the kind of meal that he wants to eat? To buy the kind of meal that he wants to buy? If you go to buy clothes in the store, you buy, some of you wear coats that worth 50, let me say 50, $150. You don't even have the money yet. You don't have much resources yet. But you already know better. You want better for yourself. Now somebody is living good and you have issue with that. The real issue you should be addressing, if there's a need, you need this guy to remit something to the party, say to them at the end of every month, you should be able to contribute at least $250 to the party. All of you ministers who have jobs, not to look at what they eat, what they buy for their families. This is complete naivety on the part of the CDC youth wing who did this press release condemning Emmanuel Potter and then Eugene Nangbe for eating good food. Emmanuel Potter that was a gentleman thing. I'm watching. I kept on watching that video. I can't get tired watching it. It was not anything bad. The guy bought a car for his wife. What is the big deal? This guy is working. I'm a gentleman. I just told you I want to pay $10 million for my fiancé diary payment. Do you know why I've not done that over the years? It's because I'm looking for the right money. I want to be proud. I want to be a proud man. I'll sit down on that table with my in-laws and I put $10 million on the table. So you're going to challenge me tomorrow when I do that? You're going to question how I earn the money I stole from Sky FM before paying my fiancé's diary? Let us grow up, man. Let's be mature in this town. Address the real issues. Ask your government now, why has it not taken a position on the War Crimes Code? That way, those are the issues you should be addressing. Have you asked the president? Our chairman said you go out of the country, you solicit money, you come back, you put in your account. Our chairman said you sleep with women to give them jobs. Have you asked the president to respond to that? You haven't. But you say Emmanuel Potter, because some of you guys are planted within our CDC to attack certain individuals so that they can get rid of the government and the president and get rid of them. It doesn't make sense today. It doesn't make sense tomorrow. As a gentleman, as Africans who are respecters of women, there is nothing wrong with a man buying a car, at least a used car for that matter. This guy would have gone to a place that he just directly from the factory he bought it. If he has spent maybe $50,000 or $75,000, then it's something that raises concern. 2007 model Audi SUV, Q7 3.6 Quattro Premium on auction, $5,000. You have issue with that? Then we already say generational envy. So we're actually envying who here? Because you're in the CDC, you're envying one another. You put in this colloquial form. The last time I heard my sister, Mama Sikaba, say generational envy. I listen to other young people in the CDC, they say generational envy. But this one that the CDC youth wing just did, the statement, isn't it a clear demonstration of Wizard Act? Somebody ate their good food, you get issue with it. They made bought car for his wife, you get issue with it. Some of you are recklessly engaging in immoral activities in this time. You're not saving your money. You're sleeping with women all over the place. Sorry, my sisters. But extravagantly engaging into an unorthodox act. As a young man, instead of you saving now, but you are fighting someone who has saved and worked over the time. The president saw that this guy has a tainted record, Emmanuel Porter. He was involved into corruption act at the UBA. Did the president consider that? He didn't. But he just withdrew an appointment of Mr. Marcus Slewan because of corruption report. But he appointed Emmanuel Porter. Emmanuel Porter is now working. He's earning his money. No, man. Please, man. We got more important. I have a very important guest today, on the show. Like every other guest, yeah. But Mr. Sunday is a very, very important guest. He's a mentor to many young journalists in Liberia. And I would so much like to enjoy the conversation with him. Now, you may think that I'm getting emotional. No, listen, Matthias rarely gets emotional. I just like to hit the issues as they unfold. Now, quickly, let me give one advice to the president. Yeah. Mr. President, your choice of justice in Associate Justice Joseph Nangbe has ruled. And he has upheld government's, the judiciary, the Supreme Court's ruling that Mr. Brownie Samuka should not be certificated. Let me give you a piece of advice. In 2019, the CPP refused to listen to me. And Aloysius Stowe came back later and said, Matthias, you were right. You guys allow, I want you to check the word education. How many letters does it have? E, D, U, C, A, T, R, O, N. 9-letter words, right? It's a 9-letter word. That is a 9-letter word, education. But then spell the word ego, E-G-O. Many of you are letting the 3-letter word to supersede the 9-letter word in your life. You claim to be educated, but the ego has overshadowed your reasoning. So most of the time, even when someone you think is less educated comes up with good ideas, you don't take it. I advised the CPP yesterday. I said, listen, you people, your decision as a party to select Daba Vapila to contest on the CPP's ticket in Grand Cape County is a mismatch. I'm from Lofa County. I respect tradition a lot. I know how our people respect tradition. When the people of Lofa say something, and many other communities, not only Lofa, even Grand Cape, I witnessed that. When they come out together traditionally and come up with a decision and say, this is what we're going to follow, that's what they follow. That's the reason why Dagosa kept on winning election in Grand Cape Mount. That's the reason why Senator Dagosa became the political godfather of Grand Cape Mount. To an extent, that Vani Shemon had to literally prostrate before Dagosa before winning election. I was there in the county. I was working with a community radio station. So I saw the process there. The CPP chose Daba Vapila to contest on the CPP ticket. It was a mismatch. It was wrong. It was a mistake, political error. Why? Because traditionally, when a woman gets married, she becomes a stranger in your father's home. You don't expect Mr. Tonola Vapila, who is the husband of Daba Vapila, a daughter of Grand Cape County, to watch his wife winning election in Grand Cape as senator. Then he watched his wife leaving Bon County home, matrimonial home, to go to Grand Cape to stay. It was never going to work. So the people of Grand Cape were afraid to elect a senator who will be a stranger in their lives, who will go and live in Bon County instead of in Grand Cape to understand the real plight of the people. I said that politics played against the CDC. Now the CPP now have a piece of advice for the president. Mr. President, President George Weah, the Minister of Defense, Minister Daniel Zianka, as well as the former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, may also rest in peace, former Representative Muna Penham Youngblood, I think and several others. Mr. President, you are aware that Brownie Samuka, Senator-elect of Lofa County, did not eat that money. You know, I'm not compelling you to agree with me, but you are aware. And you are also aware that this particular case against Brownie Samuka is a political case. But the people of Lofa County presented to you an opportunity. How about if you take that? I want to advise you, take that opportunity. Yeah, it's an advice. It's just a recommendation. Take the opportunity. Under the law, as president, you have the right to pardon whomever you want to pardon. That's one constitutional right you have. Pardon Brownie Samuka. That's one. Secondly, the people, when you went to Lofa County, the Bandi people, the Loma people, the Pele people, the Kisi people, who are the original owners of Lofa, the Kisi, they have asked you, they said to you that, listen, Mr. President, we know that there are a number of things going on here, right? But we have three things on our plate. Number one, we need you to make Brownie Sambaga to take a seat. Number two, our road. Number three, the healthcare. You know what that means? It means that these three things, even if you can implement two before 2023, Mr. President, the story of you winning election in 14 counties, I'm very sure this time around the narrative is going to change. I am not saying you should use Brownie Sambuka as a bait, but listen to the people of Lofa County, a county of a rich culture, highly morally upright people. They have a piece of advice for you. They presented to you something. Take it or leave it. If you don't, it's up to you. How your government has ruled. Besides that, when you talk about ruling is an opinion. We usually say opinion of the court. They are the individuals in that court are human beings. So their ruling, you cannot trace their ruling into any book, any legal book, anywhere around the world. That is the reason why their rulings, most of the time, their conclusions are considered as opinions. So meaning, John Brown says this, Peter Paul says this, Mary says that they come together with their opinions and put together, they conclude. That's why they say it is the opinion of the court. The court is not a building. The court is the individuals that sit on the bench. The justices, the judges that sit on the bench. That's their opinion. Combined, they put their opinions together and they say, this is our ruling. It does not make it binding. It becomes binding because of law, right? They are lawyers, they are judges, that's their role. But when you say opinion, it's the views of people. Opinions are just basically an expression of people's thoughts, individual thoughts. They can be questioned, they can be argued. I'm presenting to you an opportunity. Just trying to communicate. Probably you've forgotten what the people of Lufakane said. I'm just trying to re-communicate to you what the people said. This case is a political case organized against Brownie Sambuka. You know that. Former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf knows that. Your government pay against somebody some of the money. So what's the case? What's the issue? But so just said, Mr. President, it's just an advice. Take it away. Let's hear from you folks briefly. I know some of you have, some of my folks going to have issue again, Matthias. You always do this to us. You take all of our time. Yes, folks, the thing is, I do not like to, I'm not one of the, by the grace of God, one of the lazy journalists who will say, okay, John Brown does this, that opinion lines. I like to deal with the issue and deal with it and get too deep into the analysis. At least you feel a lot of angles from it. Let's hear from this first person. Good morning. Good morning. Hello.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, Matthias.
Good morning, sir. Let's hear you.
Yeah, this is Samson Capper, calling from Central Freeport.
Mr. Capper, please go ahead.
Yeah, I listened to many talking points, but I specifically want to speak on the Brownie Sambuka issue. You see, the Sambuka issue is in a court. And we said it was a way to fight corruption. Madam Sirleaf is here. In whom government Sambuka says, why is it? Madam Sirleaf can come out and speak out to say, oh, you're leaving man alone. Then we tell the president, we are to forgive me. Forgive me for what? The court said the man is convicted. Let Madam Sirleaf come and say, no. Man, nothing happens. I don't want order you to use that money. But all of that, we want to put it up and then we are.
Okay.
Knowing that our Sambuka was working with Madam Sirleaf, and Madam Sirleaf is not willing to speak out. Then what do you want for President Weah to do? It's not interfering with the court process.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Talking about the former president is here. Again, if you put that, I also want to ask a question. Has the court, or there's been no reason why the court should subpoena former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf? Has that happened? Somebody said, I did this thing and I did it because I got instruction from this person. Has this man been subpoenaed? By the way, has former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf been subpoenaed? No, I don't think so. Is it not necessary? I think it is. Why did this government pay some money against it? Let's take that person on the line. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Let's hear you.
Yeah, this is Christopher Dwyer calling from PhD.
Mr. Dwyer, please go ahead.
Yeah, the issue with, let me speak specifically to two issues of your talking points. One has to do with the minister car, and the other one has to do with Brandon Samoka. The first thing the youth here or CDC should understand, Minister Potter is working for money.
Exactly.
So if he buys a car for his wife, it's not a crime that he committed. So the argument is listed in that direction.
Very weak.
Secondly, the issue with Brandon Samoka. I will blame the very Supreme Court and the National Election Commission for what is happening. And I don't think Brandon Samoka should be held liable for it. It came out that Brandon Samoka was involved in a corrupt act concerning the aircraft money. Supreme Court, the man went to court and he was guilty of the act. By virtue of criminal issue.
Yeah.
The National Election Commissioner, neither the Supreme Court, have no right to allow Samoka to go through. They disqualifying well away because he was guilty of corruption. They allow him to go to the election. He won the election. Why should they delay? And the first, and another thing we should understand, Samoka is not the only one that are supposed to arrest you the Monday at 3. Why only Samoka do the job only want to?
My brother, that's why I said.
So
that is why I said. That's why I said, my brother. That's why I said.
For the concept of going to the election, the fact that they allow you to go to the election, they should allow you to take office and be represented the push on the money.
Granted, my brother. The government is. Thank you so much. The government is very aware of the fact that this is an act of political gangsterism against Mr. Brownie Samoka, but that's not our argument now. The argument is, as a broadcaster, and my thing is, I don't just want to get on. The good thing is I'm having a conversation this morning with a professional journalist, Mr. Moses Sunday, who follows me as well. And sometimes guessing, yeah, young man, you're doing well by the grace of God. Keep it up and all of that. He's a dad. Let's just squeeze in this last person. All right. Okay. We're not taking that person. We're joining the Voice of America shortly. And after that, we'll be joining our guest today in the U.S., Mr. Sunday, who is the chairman or president emeritus of the Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas, ALJA. ALJA, has a lot of things to say this morning. You don't want to miss the conversation. My name is Matthias Labindi. I'll be right back after this break. But before that, I just want to say that the reason why I put this thing this way is that it's just journalism is not about destruction. It's not about mostly you maybe have someone on the show and you want to embarrass them through your questioning and all of that. There's some questions sometimes you just have to be very polite in a way that you present them and bring out information. So sometimes the fact that we consider as people who set the agenda for transformation in the country, we should also provide recommendations. The recommendation is the people of Lofa County presented 3 golden opportunities, or just a golden opportunity to the president, presented 3 issues in the golden opportunity to the president. Our road, our roads, by the way, our health sector, our son Brownie Samoka. Mr. President, you know the story. Let's join the Voice of America, 5 minutes of news.
Ruling in favor of the Philippines against China's maritime claims around the Spratly Islands and neighboring reefs and shoals. China rejects the ruling. Authorities searching for the victims of a deadly collapse in Florida Sunday said that they hope to conclude their painstaking work in the coming weeks. As a team of first responders from Israel departed the scene, Miami-Dade County Mayor Daniela Levine Cava and said 90 deaths have now been confirmed in last month's collapse of the 12-story Champlain Towers south in Surfside. That is up from 86 a day before. Among them are 71 bodies that have been identified, and the families have been notified. A U.S. citizen and former top aide to Jordan's King Abdullah II alleged he was tortured in Jordanian detention and he fears for his life. His U.S.-based lawyer said Sunday on the eve of a verdict in the high-profile sedition trial linked to a rare public rift in the kingdom's ruling family, along with the mistreatment allegations. The closed-door trial before Jordan State Security says it was completely unfair. This is VOA News. Pfizer says it plans to meet with top U.S. health officials on Monday to discuss the drug maker's request for federal authorization of a third dose of its COVID-19 vaccine, as U.S. President Joe Biden's chief medical advisor acknowledged that it is entirely conceivable, maybe likely, that booster shots will be needed. The company said that it was scheduled to have the meeting with the Food and Drug Administration and other officials on Monday. This is days after Pfizer asserted that the booster shots would be needed within 12 months. Pfizer's Dr. Michael Dolstern told the Associated Press last week that the early data from the company's booster study suggests people's antibody levels jump 5 to 10-fold after a third dose compared to their second dose months earlier. Evidence it believes still supports the need for a booster. Thousands of Cubans marched on Havana's Malecon promenade and elsewhere on the island Sunday to protest food shortages and high prices amid the coronavirus crisis. It's one of the biggest anti-government demonstrations in memory. Many young people took part in the afternoon protests in the capital, which disrupted traffic until police moved it in several hours and broke up the march when a few protesters threw rocks at them. Police initially traveled behind the protesters chanting freedom, enough, and unite. One motorcycle pulled out of a U.S. flag, or motorcyclist pulled out that flag, but it was snatched from him by others. Cuba is going through its worst economic crisis in decades, along with a resurgence of coronavirus cases, as it suffers the consequences of U.S. sanctions imposed by the Trump administration. Israel's Supreme Court Sunday cleared the way for same-sex couples to have children through surrogate mothers. This is a move hailed by lawmakers and activists as victories for LGBTQ rights. The court ruled in 2020 that a surrogacy law, which had expanded access to single women, but excluded gay couples, disproportionately harmed the right to equality and the right to parenthood, and it was unlawful. There is more at voanews.com. Via remote, I'm Tommy McNeil, VOA News.
Wake up, Mama Liberia. Wake up, Mama Liberia. Mama Liberia. So Liberia, wake up. Liberia, so Liberia, wake up. Liberia, so Liberia, wake up and pray. Only Liberia, wake up, oh, wake up and do something. Only Liberia, try to settle things the way we need to be. It's all we need in our loving country, Mama Elabi. Wake up, my people, can't you hear the song? Can't you see the shining sun? You've been sleeping so long. No time for guns, no time to do wrong. Say the war is gone. My people be strong. Wake up and do something. Try to settle things the way we need to be. It's all we need in our loving country, Mama Elabi.
And that's right. You're listening to Straight from the Heart on Sky 107.1. We are here Monday to Friday, 7 to 9 o'clock. This is completely the program Straight from the Heart. So here we talk directly from our hearts. We do not mention our words to tell whomever is involved with the news, the truth. Our target is to ensure that Liberia gets better, that all of us, can get a fair share of the national cake. Welcome to it. My name is Matthias Labindi, and shortly we're going to be joined by the chairman or president emeritus of the Association of Liberian Moses Sandy. Mr. Sandy Jones was this things about Liberia. Things I said were a Nimba lawmaker is asking, Prince Johnson to resign from his senatorial position, and said his resignation, from that committee that he was elected on as chair on security and defense, that is not something that came from him. That it is not a conscientious decision, but a thing that was engineered by the pressure, mounted against him by the U.S. government, civil society organization, including ARJA, that we are about to speak. Now, Representative Larry P. Yankwa is saying he should resign his position as senator and focus on. He should not sit and wait to see and wait for his prosecution, to face trial at the War Crimes Court. We highlighted that, and we also talked about the fact that the two ministers in question, not ministers, one is a director now, Director General of Maritime, as well as Assistant Minister for Logistics at the Ministry of not Youth and Sports, at the Ministry of State. One thing I can say to Porter is that if my investigation uncovers that your car cost more than $5,000, we're going to come right back here and talk about your deception. Even though you're not a saint, you don't have a clean reputation, you don't have a clean character, that we know for a fact. You have a corrupt record. But in this case of you buying a car for your wife, I don't think as someone who opts to be a truth teller in this country would sit down and watch people, just most especially a less basic group of young people from the CDC, consider themselves as the youth wing of the CDC, did a press statement. We have more pressing issues in this country you guys cannot speak on. Our children, our sisters, our daughters have been raped in this country. A formidable party like the CDC, the youth wing cannot comment on these corruption matters and all of that. The president insulted your intelligence. You said nothing about it. But here you are condemning, because the whole thing is a plan. Now I know for a fact it's an inside work. There are some other guys who feel that they've sat for some time since the government came to power, they need jobs. So their target is to get at some people, attack them, make them to look unpopular, make them to appear unpopular in the country, and then when the time comes, then they get replaced, and another person, somebody who is maybe close to them, will get appointed in that position. So that is not something that I think young people should be engaged in. They should be more concerned about how we as young people, by the way, how we as young people can focus more on more important issues, addressing more important issues than just sitting and talking and releasing statement. That statement was completely, anyway, it's okay. This is a family radio program. So yes, shortly we're going to be joined by Mr. Moses Sandy. We also talked about the fact that, Mr. President, under the law, you have a mandate. Yeah. You have a responsibility to protect the Constitution of this country. And the Constitution gives you some privileges, even though you are an individual who occupies an office. But in the wisdom of the crafters or framers of the Constitution, they gave you opportunities. You say, well, listen, okay, Mr. President, honor the law, honor the executive. You have the right to pardon whomever you want to pardon. When Obama was leaving, Donald Trump, for example, was leaving office, told that he freed over 100+ individuals. Back home in Liberia, I don't know whoever behind it, but the last time I checked, I heard the police, the inspector general saying that it is the court that releases, is the judiciary that's responsible, that releases the armed robbers, that releases armed robbers in the country. With all these things said, that at some point in time, people will look at something and say, listen, even though this guy is considered as an armed robber, but I think in the wisdom of the code and some of us, the judges, it's better this guy be freed. Mr. President, free Brownie Samuka, let him take his office, take this case from his head and put it behind you. It's not going to take anything from you. If you do that, the people of Lofa County, I'm very sure they owe you something. But before that, maybe someone would say, well, Matthias, what are you saying? You mean that we should let go of justice? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I am simply saying to the president is that in his hands lies a golden opportunity. He should take it. We now have on the line Mr. Moses Sandy, former president of the Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas. Mr. Sandy, what you're looking at on the screen here on this tablet, my kids, they put some kind of, I don't know what kind of sticker on the tablet. I'm sorry about that. So yeah, they put that there. Good morning. And folks, we've just been joined by Mr. Moses Sandy, Chairman Emeritus of the, President Emeritus of the Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas. He's speaking to us via Messenger. You too can join the conversation there. If you're following us anywhere around the world, you can join the conversation during the halfway mark of the program. We're going to open the lines again to hear from you. Mr. Sandy, it's a pleasure. Good morning and a pleasure. Thanks so kindly for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Matthias. Good morning, Monrovia. It's a pleasure being on your radio. And let me start off by saying thanks to you and the management of Sky for the good work you people continue to do for Liberia. I religiously monitor your broadcast.
Thank you so much.
It's pleasing to be with you this morning.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sandy. I want to begin first, maybe on a softer note this morning. You listen to my analysis. Let's begin with the press statement coming from, because you're speaking on a variety of issues. So the good thing is Mr. Sandy is a journalist. He may not be actively practicing right now, but he's a journalist, so he reads a lot on daily on happenings in the country. So when we contact Mr. Sandy, we'll basically reach out to him to speak on a variety of issues. So we can limit him on one thing. So yeah, so Mr. Sandy is versed with the things happening here. I want to firstly begin with, by hearing from you what you make of the statement coming from the youth wing of the CDC about two of their officials. One is Mr. Emmanuel Porter, who bought a car for his wife. And the other one is Mr. Eugene Nangbe, who just left the Ministry of Information and now at the Maritime. They're saying that these guys are living opulently. Therefore, whatever they do, they should do it secretly. They should not come in the public, because it's a sheer provocation and a display of arrogance on their part. They have money, they should keep it to themselves. The masses are suffering. So even if they want to go to a restaurant, when they go there, they should not take photo and post it. They should eat and get back in their cars and go home. What do you make of that?
Well, before answering your question, let me just make a disclaimer. I'm appearing as National President Emeritus.
Yeah, that's what I said.
The Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas.
Yeah.
As National President Emeritus, it means that I am a retired National President.
Sure.
I do not have the authority to make policy statement anymore in the name of ASJA. So what I say, the views I will express here today will be my personal view as a Liberian journalist residing in the United States of America.
Great.
And I'll also be speaking as a retired national president. So it means that my views do not or will not represent that of the national leadership of ASJA. So with that said, let me just briefly gloss over this question regarding the assistant minister and my friend and brother Eugene Nambe. Eugene and I were in the School of Mass Communication at the University of Liberia.
Okay.
And we also worked together briefly at LBS. Then he was Assistant Director General for News and Public Affairs. We worked in the news department briefly, and then we parted. So I know the individual I'm talking about. But look, I have a different perspective on this issue. My perspective is that I think Liberians who have raised concern about what Mr. Porter. It is not bad. It's nothing terrible for anybody to give an expensive gift to, a spouse. I would do the same thing, or anyone would do the same thing. But I think people are saying that the way the gift was presented. I saw a video. And this gentleman pop a champagne.
Yeah.
And like trying to wash the vehicle with champagne. And I think the concern most people have is that this happened when Liberia is faced with what?
Economic
significant
issues.
crisis, economic challenges. And so people are looking at what the optics. Is Emmanuel insensitive to what is currently happening in the country? Yes, it is not bad for Emmanuel to give gift to his wife, but does he necessarily have to do this in the limelight like he did in popping a champagne? That's a concern his critics have. And I think it's a legitimate concern. It is not bad. Anyone can do it. I would do the same thing for my wife if I wish to.
Yeah.
But at a certain time, you want to be careful as to how you conduct yourself, especially when you are a public figure.
Yeah.
I think that's where most people are having concern with. Even people including that of the CDC Youth Wing. It's the same thing with the Commissioner of Maritime Affairs, my friend and brother Eugene Nambe. Look, Eugene has worked in government for several years. Like me sitting in the United States, I can come to Liberia eating in any restaurant, and I can pay for whatever. Anyone can do the same thing. I don't think people are saying that, well, Eugene cannot afford. I think, again, the concern has to do with what updates.
Yeah.
Yes, we are faced with what? Coronavirus. Our country is faced with what? Health crisis. And you have the commissioner. You have the Commissioner of Maritime Affairs on Facebook, demonstrating that, hey, all is well with me. The optics.
Unlike all of you, but for me, all is well.
Is yes, Matthias, like you said. Well, I'm having great meal here. I'm doing good. I don't care. Well, you can die, but for me, I'm doing good. That's why I'm eating. I'm displaying to you that all is well with me. The optics. When you are in public service, you have to be time sensitive when you conduct yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's where my friend and brother Nange slipped. I don't know, he authorized someone to do the photo. If he didn't authorize someone to do the photo, then the person who took the photos did not do him well. It just shows his insensitivity to what is happening in the country. That's where the criticism are coming from. People are criticizing him. They said, look, man, we are dying. We don't have what? Healthcare institutions. Yeah, our people are dying in numbers. And you on Facebook demonstrating that all is well with you. You are being sensitive.
Okay.
Public service comes with a lot of criticism. And you have to be mindful when you occupy a certain position. So I disagree with you, Matthias, on this issue. I think the concern from the public is
general, right?
Legitimate. Yeah, it's legitimate. It's legitimate.
But at least you put it that, well, there's nothing wrong with a man buying a car for his wife. There's nothing wrong with somebody eating. I also agree with you, right? That yes, timing, environment, conditions in the country now, everyone should be remorseful of the fact that not everyone can afford a certain time to do certain things for their and so that's a fair one. That's a fair one. I understand where you're from. But let's move on to a more important issue this morning. ARJA and other organizations have been calling on the Liberian Senate to ensure that Mr. Prince Johnson, as well as Varnish Sherman of Grand Cape Man County, leave their respective positions that they're occupying there at the Liberian Senate, not as senators leaving the Senate, resigning from their senatorial positions, but even though their election alone is something that many people still have concerns about, but to go further to be given more power in the legislature, particularly the Senate, is something people raise concern about. Do you feel accomplished that one of those who raised issue against has resigned?
Oh, yes. Senator Johnson's resignation is indeed a political victory for Aja and several other, human rights organizations in the United States and abroad that championed the cause for his resignation. And let me say that the senator did not resign willingly. He was coerced. He was coerced to resign because there was multiple cause for his resignation. Matthias, I don't know how the decision was made to have Prince Johnson, a man with a brazen record of human rights violation in our country, to head one of the most powerful committee, the Committee on National Defense, Veteran Affairs. Now, you have someone, Prince Johnson, who brazenly slaughtered scores of Liberians. How do you expect Senator Johnson to conduct the affairs, especially when it comes to the issue of the war crime codes? How do you expect the senator to conduct the affairs of the committee if the committee is to take a position, or if the committee was to take a position regarding the establishment of a war crime code in Liberia? Wouldn't that be double standard? This man was what? Chairman of that committee. Do you expect, or Liberian expecting him to have come to say, oh, well, I support the establishment, or we support the establishment? Of course not. So it is good that he has stepped aside. He yielded to the calls from the U.S. Embassy in Liberia and other international organizations in Liberia and abroad. Senator Johnson's role, the role he played in the Liberian Civil War, it's nothing hidden.
Okay.
Anyone who followed the history of the Liberian civil crisis knows that, we'll agree that the senator was one of the individuals who rather slaughter people in our country.
Yeah.
For no justifiable reason. So for the dues in the civil war. Now let's look at the next man, Vani Sherman. Yeah, the Committee on Judiciary. Aja called for the resignation of Senator Sherman because the organization believes that he's not a good face. Vani Sherman is not a good face of that committee. There are reports in the public that Vani Sherman openly engaged in acts that undermine the Liberian judiciary. There are reports that point to what Vani Sherman bribing judges in the country. So how can a man who chairs one of the most powerful committees in the Liberian Senate, a committee that's supposed to monitor activities of the judiciary in Liberia, and the chair of that committee is accused of engaging in acts that undermine the work of the judiciary. So Vani Sherman should step aside. In the wake of the current sanction, the U.S. sanction placed on him, Vani Sherman should just step aside. And I support the leadership of Aja for calling for his resignation.
Quickly, Mr. Sandy, you called for the resignation of both men. One has resigned. That's applause on your part. Vani Sherman seems to be adamant, on this, because in fact, if you listen to him, he justify and ask some questions. Why would someone even sit down and conclude that he single-handedly bribed judges, in Liberia? Why did that happen? So he's somehow doubtful of the U.S. Department of the Treasury report against him. This posture he's putting forth, what are means you people intend to use to ensure that this man relinquishes that position?
We'll continue. Agile, like any other organization, will continue to speak on the issue. We'll continue to expose his activities in the judiciary. That's all we can do. Continue to speak to the issue. But it is unfortunate when Agile called for the senator's resignation. I just said if the senator refuses to resign, the leadership has the authority to ask the senator, to resign. He can be coerced into resigning.
Okay.
The leadership can ask him to step aside.
So Mr. Sandy, at the moment, you people are still engaging. You people are still leaving him with his moral conscience to relinquish the position. But if he doesn't, you people will be left with no option but to prevail on the leadership to ensure that he's removed from that position.
Aja will continue to do that. Again, let me state that I strongly believe that the current leadership of Aja, headed by Mr. Joel Macy, will remain persistent. Vani Sherman has to step aside. His records are not a good reflection of what the Judiciary Committee should be. You cannot have Vani Sherman, whose records in the legal profession have been drawn into question to head the Committee on Judiciary. Vani has to step aside.
Okay, so let's move on quickly. This is a very important, issue here. Back here in Liberia, even the people of Grand Cape Mount County, most of the time we hear Cape Martinians calling on their lawmaker to leave the position. He should not be other man and keep sitting there when his involvement in corruption matters, is creating embarrassment for the entire county. But that is an individual decision that he needs to make. Let's move on to now talking about Vani Sherman and Senator Prince Johnson. Let's talk about the issue of morality in general. Liberia. If you were to just sit down and approximate, in terms of number, what do you think Liberia's morality rate is at this time?
But
it's very serious. It's very serious.
I don't want to be a moral judge, but one thing that I can tell you, Liberia is faced with a leadership deficit. Most of the people in authority in Liberia, a significant number of them, have no clue in terms of what they are doing, including the president himself. George Weah has no clue in terms of leadership. As a result, Liberia is struggling. Besides our leaders not having a clue in terms of what their job duties and responsibilities are, a significant number of our leaders are extremely corrupt. They are more concerned about themselves than the good of Liberia. Let me give you a typical example here. And I would like to take you to the situation of Brownie Samuka.
Okay.
When you lead, when you enforce laws of the country as a leader, you don't cherry pick.
Okay.
And that's what happened in the case of Brownie Samuka.
You think the government is cherry picking?
Mr. Weah, the CDC, and others are what? Cherry picking.
How so?
I'm saying they are cherry picking because Brownie Samuka's situation. Brownie Samuka told the world, including Liberians, that he did not make a unilateral decision to use the money.
Mm-hmm.
He was told by former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. That's why he told the world. And the WIA administration also made what? An initial commitment. They paid some of the money.
Why did they do it? Why did the government pay some of the money?
Yes, that's what I'm coming to. They paid some of the money on behalf of the defense ministry until they pay more than $400,000. So if the government paid more than $400,000 towards this, then you come and say, well, Brownie Samuka is now what, a felon? While the government is prosecuting Brownie Samuka, the government is what? Paying little or no attention. So what happened to what? The $25 million that the WIA government, from its onset, took from the coffers, from the nation's coffers, for what it called what? Mop-up exercise.
That was done, Mr. Sunday. That's what government said.
There were 3 other reports that point to what? That point to accusing fingers of Samuel Tue and others. Up to now, there has been no justice in that matter. Isn't it hypocritical for Mr. WIA and his people to go after Brownie Samuka for corruption when the WIA administration has failed to account for what? The $30 million COVID money, the money set aside as well, a stimulus package for the people of Liberia. What has happened to that money? Where is the report? The administration, look, this is double standard. You don't go after Brownie Samuka when you yourself cannot even account for the happiness of your officials in the government. And what is happening now is gradually eroding the peace and stability of Liberia. You can quote me on that.
How is that? How is that? Tampering with the peace and stability of the country? Because from what I see here is that, to some extent, I want to take you from a young man who usually makes us live on social media. Who says, well, in Liberia, everyone is fighting to defend and protect their own criminals. So the issue of the government rendering judgment against Brownie Samuka and other moral issues you highlighted, how are they derailing the peace and stability of this country?
Okay, when the government refuses to adhere to the rule of law, that undermines the peace and stability of the country. When you enforce the rule of law, you don't cherry pick. Just as Brownie Samuka is being prosecuted, the government should also be what? Prosecuting Samuel Tue and others. The government should also be accounting for the $30 million stimulus, COVID stimulus package. When you do that, when you hold other officials in the government accountable, regardless of where they come from, who they are, then that will demonstrate what? Good governance. But what we see today is not what? Demonstrating any semblance of what? Good governance. Liberia went to civil war because of what? Misrule. Because of misrule. And we see a repeat of that in the WIA's administration. That's what I said. This administration is eroding, gradually eroding the peace and stability of Liberia. The government is gradually undermining the peace and stability of Liberia. You don't prosecute one president, and then when it comes to your friends, then you look the other way. That is not how the rule of law works.
Do you share the view, Mr. Sunday, that this case against Mr. Samuka is a politically motivated case?
Absolutely. It's basically politics. It's not about, fighting graft. The government has not been able to, the government is not committed to fighting graft. How do you fight graft when you have Samuel Tua walking all around you with $25 million? You have other reports that accuse Minister Tua and other officials of this administration of mismanaging 25 million US dollars taken from the country's coffer. When you have the president of Liberia accumulating wealth under questionable conditions, the condominiums, the 9th Street residents, where did he get the money from? When the government is yet to account for the 30 million US dollars stimulus package fund. You tell me, Matthias? Come on. Liberians are smart. Everyone knows that Mr. Weir and his people are not committed to fighting graft. They are playing politics.
What needs to be done? What can you recommend to President Weir? As also a voice in his country. What can you recommend to President Weir regarding the Brownie Samuka's case?
I do recommend that former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who Mr. Samuka has made reference to as giving him the directive, be asked to speak on this matter. And for the fact that the government already made an initial commitment of more than $400,000 to paying this money, I think it would just make a lot of sense to allow Mr. Samuka to take his seat. Because if the government had concern that, hey, Mr. Samuka acted unilaterally, then why did they pay the $400,000 or the more than $400,000? The very Supreme Court, when Samuka declared his intention for the senatorial seat in Lofa, he was challenged in the very Supreme Court rule that he be allowed to participate in the election.
Yeah.
He went to the election, he won.
And the government, just to add, and the government already knew that this man did XYZ thing yesterday. The government did not prevent him from contesting. So let's look at the part of it that the government is saying he should not be certificated. Whereas the same code that said go on and contest, even though the code was aware of the fact that there's something hovering over this guy. What do you think is actually happening between there?
It's politics. And I don't understand why the government is so jittery about having Samuka in the Senate. This is all politics. How do you treat somebody like that? From the onset, if they wanted to put an impediment, they would have said, hey, Samuka, you have already been convicted. And because of your conviction, you are not eligible to participate in the election. The very Supreme Court that is today enforcing that, hey, the prohibition that you should not be allowed to take a seat, be upheld, is the very Supreme Court that gave that go ahead, that hey, Samuka, you can go ahead. And the very government made an initial payment of more than $400,000 towards this $1.4 million that we're talking about here. And so then where's the issue here? If the government already made a partial payment towards this money, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just reasoning like an ordinary person. So then where's the issue? And it comes back again to what I said. When you enforce the rule of law, you don't do it selectively. You do it across the board. If it is Moses Sani and you're going after Moses Sani, you should go after Matthias as well.
Yeah.
If both persons committed the same crime, or if both persons violated the laws of the country. You don't say, well, Moses Sandy is my friend, and I would look the other way and punish Matthias. You don't do that. Of the home. Don't we do it across? Okay, so if you are enforcing the rules at the national level, then it just makes it imperative that you don't, cherry pick. No,
but let me
the laws are the law.
Mr. Sandy, let's move on to another issue. I asked earlier about your own understanding and your own analysis of moral issues in the country. Let's look at, for example, what's happening in the case of Mr. Darius DeLong, or the CPP, as a whole. The two, all of the political organizations in this country, like I said in one of my analyses, that every negative thing you have against the CDC, you will find these same things in the CPP. So I asked the public the other time to tell me, which group of people do they really trust? It was a difficult thing. I know that the lines usually get jammed, but people really found it difficult to come through. Now you have Darius DeLong, who said he would have been the saint, he would have been the light in the Senate. Here he is today. He lied to the public that he traveled on business on economic class. It was proven that he traveled on business class. He said he would not have, driving in a car worth above $15,000 or $5,000. Today he's driving more than $35,000 car. He said he would not have received any money apart from his salary. Anything that will be given to him, he must make sure that he consult his constituency. He got $15K, broke up into knots before he decided to dish it out, and thing. Do you think he has corrupted a foundation he built on which people started admiring him for? Has he corrupted that particular foundation through his deeds?
Yeah. Based on the reports, the media reports, I would say that the senator has, to some extent, created doubts in the minds of his supporters. In leadership, consistency is very important. Leadership is about trust and confidence. So if you come and tell the people that, hey, if you pay me $15,000, I will give the rest of the money to the county. You have to do that. If you come and tell the people that, hey, I will not drive any vehicle that will cost more than $10,000, you have to keep it as you said it. You have to live by what you say. And now we see contradiction here. He has said one thing, and the reports are saying that he has flip-flop. Means that he has not been able to keep up with those promises. It is nothing wrong. And someone was telling me, look, it is nothing wrong for the senator to fly business, class. I mean, come on, he's senator.
Yeah.
He's a prominent president. It's nothing if he did purchase a ticket at cost that will allow him to fly business class. So what's the problem with that? There's nothing for him to come to the public and lie about. If you flew business class, don't tell the people that you flew economic class. No.
Yeah, that's the issue there.
No, don't do that. It is not a crime. There are several other public officials in Liberia that will fly business class. It's not a crime. And DeLong has the money. He can do it. If he did it, then he should just come and say, yes, I did it. What's the problem with that?
But
he cannot steal.
Yeah, he initially.
You can't do one thing, publicly, and then you come and tell your people another thing. I mean, as a leader, you can't do that. Inconsistency in leadership is just not good.
Mr. Sandy, briefly,
yeah,
briefly onto the lines and close up with you. It's always a pleasure having a conversation. That the media who have worked in this country, you in here, you know how it works, you know the challenges young professionals go through. ensuring that they execute their duties at various institutions, but the remunerations do not come forth. You know, the ethical transgressions that we mostly engage in, you know, this blackmailing and all of that. You know, some other people are using our airspace and they're saying they're not journalists, but they're using our platforms to say what they want to say, thereby creating a different image of the media out there in the public. I've listened to you people speak on many issues. Do you people have interest in ethical journalism in Liberia? If so, what position do you people take on certain media ethical transgression of individual journalists? Like, for example, naming and shaming Matthias, naming and shaming John Brown, and so for XYZ thing he did. How are you people helping the press, in that direction?
Yeah, a very excellent question. We consistently track, happenings in Liberia. We track happenings in the Liberian media as well. When journalists go off tangent, when I was national president during my administration, we reach out to the press union, and sometimes we spoke to those issues directly. We have worked with the press union over the years in addressing some of these problems. So we have legitimate concerns about some of the terrible things that are happening in the media in Liberia. And I would like to say that, hey, in the wake of all of these challenges, the Liberian media is doing a remarkable job because of Matthias. In today's world, with the coming in of social media, the media landscape has been significantly challenged. Many newspapers today have gone underwater. Many radio stations today have found it difficult to keep up with the broadcast because everybody now has become broadcasters. Everywhere you go, you can mount your cell phone and you are on.
Undiluted news, unedited.
Unedited, and you can say whatever. So that has really posed a significant challenge to the work of journalism. And in the wake of the financial hardship, because the media is faced with not getting, advertisement. So, for example, I'm told that in Monrovia today or in Liberia, you guys have more than 100 radio stations.
Yes.
So sometimes the question I ask myself, where are the advertisers? If journalists are to be paid livable wages, it means that the media institutions themselves should be able to generate income. And you can agree with me. You are currently practicing in Liberia. You will agree with me that all media institutions in Liberia are challenged.
Yeah.
Because of what? Inadequate advertisement.
Yeah.
People are not advertising. The newspapers have all gone on the water because advertisements are not coming. So if these institutions are not generating income, then how do they pay livable wages? If a reporter is earning hypothetically $100, that's peanuts. How can a reporter survive on $100 a month? I'm just being hypothetical here. So if Moses is going to do his best and he ain't $100, he has a family to take care of. Look, the first law of nature is what? Self-preservation. When people are not paid livable wages, they become vulnerable.
Yeah.
To the dishonest.
Yeah.
They will do anything they can, to put food on the table. So if we're going to improve the media landscape of Liberia, the first thing we have to fight is poverty in the Liberian media.
Poverty in the Liberian media. Training and poverty.
Absolutely.
Fighting poverty and training.
Our journalists need to be paid livable wages. We have spoken to the PEL on this, and we continue to speak to these issues. We have spoken to some media executives, and we are, recently the current leadership of AJA, made a couple of donations to media on an annual basis. Liberian journalists come to the United States and participate in the convention. We talk about these issues, and I'm sure Mr. Mason and his team of officers will continue to seek the interest of the Liberian media. Yes.
Okay, Mr. Moses Sandy there. He's the president emeritus of the Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas. Let's speak with you briefly. Those of you following us there, if you want to participate, please do now. Call us on the numbers 0777 107 0777 221 223. The numbers you can call us on to participate on the program this morning. 0777 107 0777 221 223. The numbers you can call us on to participate on the program this morning. Yes, we get all of your concerns. Those of you watching the live feed about the break in the transmission there on social media. Yes, it's due to a poor network. Yes, it's not really our fault. So, do we have somebody there? Let's hear from this person. Good morning.
Good morning, Mataya.
Good morning, sir. Let's hear you.
Thank you, Mataya. The name remains Mohammed Passaway. I joined from the London community.
Mr. Passaway, please go ahead.
I really appreciate your guest for it. Brilliant deliberation. You know, he spoke very well. You know, the journalists are the watchdog in society, Mataya. So, the best thing they can do is to look at A, B, C, and D. Yeah, if you're not adequately looking at A, B, C, and D, then there's a serious issue in your reporters. You know, it's like a key point. Journalists need to be paid. Because they are not paid, you know, most of those professional headlines, you see, it is because of property.
Yeah.
Because someone will come to a journalist and give you a little or nothing, write a story on a person's headline or somebody, why is that in the person's character? You know, these things happen around here. We've been those things around here. So those things need to be, the chopper need to be arrested, and those journalists they need to be professional. But people who are media outlets, they need to pay journalists good wages, as you like the poets.
Okay. Thank you so much, my brother. Mr. Passaway, let's hear from this other person and on the line, on the live feed as well. Simon Sa Josiah said, my brother, don't waste your time. President Weah will not listen to you. Well, that was just a recommendation. I hope that he listens and sees sense in it. And Simon says, say it again, my brother. The CDC youth wing is not serious about life. Let them keep singing while President Weah enrich himself. Matthew D. Faju said, good morning. Watching from Southtown Drive, Community Cardwell. City Geeks said, good morning. We are watching from Southtown. And yeah, City Geeks is an online media outlet. Hello, I think it's a blogger group. Hello, I'm watching from Southtown, just so you know. Yes, GT Tugbe Wardro the third. James Davis says, was the people or judges who ordered the NEC to certificate the senator elect? Were they? No, I don't want to use these words. They're too strong. He said the entire Supreme Court bench needs to be changed or retired. All right, that's your view. Emmanuel Fokatua says, good morning, Sky TV. Good morning to the peace-loving people of our motherland, Liberia. Yes, Emmanuel says he's the member of the CPP to defeat President Weah come 2023, watching live from his residence in Ukru Town, District 16. As we gradually draw down the curtains of the presentation, okay, Marian Robert says he lied. I think Marian is referring to the minister's statement. You know, the car, by the way, car responding to in terms of radio. But Marian says he lied. The information I got is that he bought this car through auction, Marian. Like I said, I'm reporting from the fact that he said it's an auction car and he paid around $5,000. And like I showed him now, if he told me lies, and certainly I'm going to come back here to inform you, the public, that yes, Minister Emmanuel Porter lied to the public. The car is not 5,000, but it's more than that. Why did he lie? What is he hiding? Mr. Sandy, it's a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. You have a minute, 30 seconds. Just wrap up, sir.
To you and this car management for the opportunity. Even though you broke my sleep this morning.
I tell you. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure talking to Liberia, and I look forward to another opportunity. Thanks again for the good job you guys continue to do for our people.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moses Sunday is the President Emeritus of the Association of Liberian Journalists in the America, ALJA. And that's all the time we have for the conversation with him this morning. And those of you who there also, we want to thank all of you for taking enough time to watch our live feed, listen to the program as well. Those of you who took off time to also go on the social media to participate, by, commenting. And though you had issue with the live, the network, so, but I want to appreciate you for taking enough time to do that. We respect that you respected our presentation. You woke up this morning, to listen to us. We don't deserve it, but you did. Maybe somehow we make you happy through our analysis. So we want to take a motivational message from Les Brown this morning. Les Brown says, you must tell yourself, no matter how hard it is or how hard it gets, I'm going to make it. No matter how difficult it is, no matter how difficult it gets, you must say to yourself that you are going to make it. And for me, that is my affirmation morning to evening. I'm a great person. I'm a great person. I say that to myself every day. I don't know what you say to yourself. And sometimes you look at difficulties in your life and say, well, the way things are going, I don't know whether something good is going to come out of me. Never say these things. They're never good. These are not good utterances to make about yourself. Wake up with renewed energy, with renewed vigor, make a difference in your life. My name is Matthias Labindi. Do join us hopefully this afternoon from 3 to 4 for another edition of the program, Nothing to Hide.
Try to settle things the way we need to be. Maybe it's what we need in our love and control. Mama, welcome my people. Can't you hear the song? Can't you see the shining sun? We've been sleeping so long. No time for guns, no time to do wrong. Say the war is gone.